We are starting 2 lines from the end of the top section on this Nukuntus. The line begins with the word ve-nis-bo-er. The principle that Rebbe is making enormous effort to explain, which is really one of the most difficult inyonim in Chassidus. We know that the principle of oyer in general is extremely difficult to identify and to relate and to understand. But one means that enables us to relate to oyer is oyer is what's called poshut. Oyer does not contain any particular inclination, particular message. Essentially, as we've been saying the whole time, Oyer is the expression of the presence of Etzem. Etzem is a fundamental truth that does not contain any specificity, any kind of message. It's Etzem. It's the essence itself. Anything that has a particular message has to have had some kind of a cause, some kind of source. What is it trying to express? But Etzem does not have that cause.
Why does something have to have a cause? Why does something have to have a cause in order to have a...
If it has a message, but it's a response to something. I don't think that's difficult to understand. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to explain it. Because if we need to explain this, then we're not applying our own seichel. That's the principle of seichel we've been talking about the whole time. Seichel is that which makes sense because of the spirit of the nefesh.
Is the baby in the background there in the shul or at home with somebody?
No, it's in the shul.
Probably both.
It's a holy baby.
All right. Okay.
We talk about seichel though. Seichel is something which is a...
Go ahead.
Seichel comes from that. From the nefesh. It's something which is drawn from the nefesh. The nefesh is not something which has a cause to it.
Nefesh has a cause to it?
Because the Eibush gives it's the Eibush, I guess, the creator of it, so it has a cause. But it has an Etzem. It's an Etzem, atmistic mitzvahs.
Okay? If it's an atmistic mitzias, then it does not have, it doesn't. It is Etzem. It is true unto itself. It is not there because it has a message. It is there because it is there. But the Rambam says,
on top of that, it has a message.
Huh?
On top of that, it has a message. It has a mission in the world. It has a way that it...
I'm sorry.
It has a... And on top of that, it has a message. It has
What's a nefesh?
I can't express the essence of the nefesh.
Okay, but it's an Etzem. So there is no... It has a nefesh. It has a nefesh. It's something.
A mission.
It has
A message.
A message.
Or a message.
It's a message, meaning that it expresses itself in the world in 10 sphirot stavka, and that it has to have...
No, one second. This is the difficulty. Once we say that there are 10 spheres, that's a difficulty to understand. How is it? Because at first, the simplest way to say that it has no message, it has no spheres. Just reality itself.
But he's asking if he has a mission. The nefesh has a mission here. So this is the message of the nefesh. That's what he says.
No, that comes later. If you say that there are spheres, then you say, what is the spheres about? But primarily you say, no, it's completely neutral.
We've been talking so much about the fact, that the nefesh has bias in Adar and has to express itself in a certain way in the world, or else it's not
Right.
expressing itself at all. It's not.
Why did I talk so much about it?
Because it's different.
Because it's very elusive.
Because
Because it's elusive. Because it's that's hard to grasp.
But you're saying the logical way of looking at it would be that, in general, that this is an exception to the rule, basically. It's okay.
Let us go a step down. We say that the primary presence, I'm going off a little bit of topic because I'd like to be going into this and have to know what the significance of this. The foundation of the world is the godly presence. Right? Does not limit the world. Let me explain what I'm saying. How does the world look at itself? The physical, so to speak, the world, the secular world. Secular world looks at itself as that the world starts from nothingness, total nothingness, and then somehow there appears a neutron, some kind of an entity that we have no idea where it came from. And that created a whole system. And the reason it created a whole system is because primarily everything is allowed. It is nothing there, nothingness. Nothingness does not provide for anything, and therefore the question is, where does anything come from? Remains open. But essentially, it doesn't restrict anything. That's how the world perceives itself. Nothingness. The reason you can put this over here is not because this table provides for this, but because there's nothing there. That's where you can put it. We come back and say, this is a misunderstanding. Elohim is what provides for anything. Now, a question is this. Does that limit the world from what you perceive it without that creator element? or does it, on the contrary, it provides substance to this total infinity?
Which, the Elokim or the without Elokim? The Elokim.
Yeah, like
The question is,
Later.
one second. The question is, if Elokim, when we say that Elokim is this, what's the
but
question is on Elokim, or the question is on the secular, how they look?
no, on us.
On us.
They say there is nothing. We say no, there is Elohim. Is that limit the possibilities?
No,
On the
it's
contrary.
substance.
On the contrary.
On the contrary,
Right, because Elohim
that's a phenomenal thing.
Right.
Nothingness does not have a base or anything. It's nothing. Elohim has infinity inherent in it. True infinity.
So that's what you're saying that Etzem,
Huh?
so that's what you're saying that Etzem doesn't have a message to. That's what you're saying that the essence of that thing, which is not limiting anything, doesn't have any definition. It's not.
Not having definition.
Yeah.
That's a superficial thing. They say it doesn't limit anything. Nothingness also has no definition. Nothingness is limitless because he has nothing there. Elohim is limitless because he has everything there. It's a completely different infinity.
Interesting. And yet that Etzem is completely pashut.
Okay, so this is what we are struggling with, and what the Rebbe is insisting over here. Oir is an emanation from Etzem, it presents Etzem. Etzem means a fundamental reality without any cause. And this oil is a representative of that. That means this oil contains nothing. It's nothingness. It represents nothingness. So he says, no, it's not so. It has a sphirot in this oil. Despite the fact that it's poshut, but its pshitut is what's called not pshitus mamash. It's not the same.
That statement, despite that, what is pashut?
The oil inside.
The origin, the sources. Again,
You have to follow it.
I didn't catch the statement that it's part.
It was complete from Friday. We looked Friday. That it's pashut, but it's not pashut mamash.
Yeah, exactly that. I'm not saying anything more. That's what the other says. It's poshut, but not poshut mamash.
The aura of the Ein Sof,
Huh?
which is pashut but not pashut mamash.
The oil inside. The oil. I think I'm biting off then more than we can chew over here. We'll come back to this.
So just to recap, the Etzem is obviously without cause, it's completely pashut. From there come oiros that have sphirot.
All right, we're starting 2 lines from the end of the top section. Ve-nis-bo-er. We also explained the hakav, that the kav, this is what we say the focused beam of light that emanates ultimately after the tzimtzum. Gam kmo ishu kol be'oir ein sof shelifnei hatzimtzum. Even as this kav is still incorporated in the oil ein sof that's before the tzimtzum. Now clearly the kav has a source. It comes from the oil ein sof shelifnei hatzimtzum, and the oil ein sof shelifnei hatzimtzum is oil ein sof. The kav even as it is incorporated in Ein Sof Shelifnei HaTzimtzum, yesh boi eses sphirot. In the Kav, even in that source state, it already has eses sphirot. I said 2 lines from the bottom. I don't understand what I said. Yesh boi eses sphirot. Vehein, and this is what referred to as eses sphirot hagnuzois. The concealed eses sphirot. Eses sphirot are concealed that do not come forth and do not express themselves, do not make themselves known. The gniza means it's treasured in a hidden treasure. But there is the eses sphirot. Shehein, and these eses sphirot are shoresh u'moker hagvul. This is actually the root and the source of Gvul. Okay, please pay attention. I'm going to say something, but I don't want to elaborate on it. I just want to say a very simple thing. The principle that we say that there is Sheirosh u'Moker HaGvul, there's the source and the root of Gvul. Gvul is that which ultimately results in the creation of a world. What we are saying is that since there is a Sheirosh u'Moker HaGvul, there is the source and the root of the Gvul, it means that when the Gvul comes into existence, when there's a world which consists altogether of Gvulim, of a whole bunch of finite, definitive entities, this world did not develop inadvertently, did not develop as a result of clashes between different entities. But actually it has a source, it represents the Ayin as it is in the highest levels of the source. In other words, God did not merely provide for the possibility of the world to develop itself, and then it's on its own. No, for every detail in the world, there's a source, the godly source. This is what we say. That there's eses sphirot hagnuzois, which is the source, the root and the source of the Gvul. Therefore, everything that occurs ultimately in the world, in the Gvul, has a source in the highest levels, in the original, even in the ve-nis-bo-er.
Meaning from ourselves to Etzem, which by sphirot, was it to have the all in itself to Etzem? Did it require a tzimtzum to have that level, like there's two tzimtzums the way we know it, and a tzimtzum in the Fnei tzimtzum? Because why is Ein Sof Fnei tzimtzum? Why should we just Etzem?
Because it's oyer.
Etzem is Mamela, you're saying.
Oyer is a gilui of Etzem. And
even
the
though
gilui of Etzem.
The Chayla is for something else. You're saying the all normally is for something else.
The oyer is the gilui of the Etzem.
Right. But so before the tzimtzum, why is there all? If it's before the tzimtzum, there's not a world yet. The Eibishter was there, and that's it.
There's not a will there.
A world.
There's no will. There's not a world. But the Etzem wanted that he should be begilui.
Okay.
And the gilui is the gilui of the Etzem itself.
Okay.
ולגבי מדרגה זו, we continue, Gab Madrega Zu, in relation to this Madrega, meaning the Madrega of the sphirot Hagnuzes, the sphirot as they are concealed and contained in the Ein Sof, HaKav, relative to this Madrega, the Kav who b'vchinas Gilui HaHela, qualifies, has the quality of being Gilui HaHelam, revealing that which is previously in a concealed state. Helam. What is the meaning of b'vchinas Gilui HaHelam? Again, please pay attention. I'll try to focus our attention to this principle. And I'll give a very extremely simple mashal, which we will need to delve into with our intelligence and see the significance of it. Let's say it's perfect dark, pitch dark. If it's pitch dark, as far as what's being expressed is nothing. It's pitch dark, you're not even aware that you're inside a room, inside a house. It's the same reality inside and outside. There is nothing there. Then you switch on the light. And suddenly a whole bunch of things appear. When these things appear, has anything changed in these things? Do they all of a sudden appear, come forth? They are still exactly in the same self-contained state as they were before. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you, okay, I don't want to confuse. Do we understand that? They are still in the same totally, quote unquote, neutral state. They don't say anything. They're in the same neutrality and non-existent as before. Except they're visible. The being visible does not mean that they are telling you, look at me. They just, Gilui HaHelam, the same state as it was before, Behelam, now they begin. You understand what I'm saying? If thereafter a human being comes in and he puts a bottle of wine on the table, now the table becomes a participant in a different world. Than it was in the dark. It participates in the world, not in Helam. It's a different table. It's calling your attention to its nature and to its function. It's not part of the room. It's not part of the Helam.
Part of the human project.
It has a certain function. Okay. Do you follow this? It's extremely simple, but we have to use, in our intelligence, we can see the significance of this. We are used to switching on the light and to say, you don't understand the significance of this. We are living in a real world because the God created the world. So the principle of Gilui HaHelam means it's exactly the same reality as it was before. Totally undefined, unlimited. But now it's Megillah. And why is Megillah? Oh, now it's Megillah, so the potentially you can build a whole world from this. But it's still not focused on building a world. It has all kinds of possibilities. But it's totally disinterested in the possibilities. It's still in its own reality.
Okay, so
yeah.
In the mashal that starts with pitch dark,
right?
You say there's nothing there.
Right.
It's total nothingness.
Mm-hmm.
We turn the light on, and then we turn the light off again.
Okay.
Do we still pretend it's nothingness, although we know there's something there?
Very good. Very good. And here is where you're right. What are you pretending there's nothing there, but we know there's something there?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens at this point, when you switch the light off, when you turn the light off, and you revert back to the state of darkness, is, okay, you ask a question, you have to focus on the answer, is that you get to realize that this which you saw before, and it is very real, very fundamental. That even if you switch the light off, it's still there. It's not there only because I can see it. That's a completely different state, different reality. This reality, which I switched on the light and I'm able to see, it seemed like it's due to the fact that I'm able to see it. Not true. Even if I can't see it, it's still
there
real.
anyway.
It's there anyway. This is what we are being focusing, being emphasizing, pointing out. Sight is a phenomenal quality. But even though sight is due to the fact that I'm looking at something and I see it, and I have to say the adequate way of explaining sight is that there's a light deflecting from the object. Sight is a very special God-given quality. You see the things not because it's hitting your eye, but because it's real. Even before I see it, it's still there. That's what sight is. Even when it's in the dark, it is there. And that's what sight is. It reveals to me that which is in the dark. All right, now that we've gone through this, we can continue. Legabe madrega zu, from the perspective of this madrega, when that's as sphirot hagnuzos, hakav hu b'bchinas gilei ha'elam. The kav is merely a gilei ha'elam, revealing that which is already there in concealment. In other words, it is not really a created state. It's not really a lower state. It's gilei ha'elam. It's the same madrega de ha'elam, except now it's v'gilei. Ulegabe, but well.
What is this? I'm just trying to understand the words. The kav is speaking of Moshe Kula Boyras auf Schliffen und Zemtzem, Yash Beis sphirot, des sphirot agnesis. What is the Legabe Madrage Z? Which Madrage?
The sphirot agnosis.
Huh?
Sphirot agnosis.
Before the Tzimtzum?
Yeah.
Before the Tzimtzum, there's no gilei.
That's what it is.
No. The kav is a gilui. And what is it, Megala? There's a sphirot agnosis.
The kav is Megala after the Tzimtzum, no?
Yeah.
So what means Legabe Madrage Z?
The kav madrege from sphirot agnosis.
The kav is after the Tzimtzum, so we're talking the Madrage after the Tzimtzum or the Madrage before the Tzimtzum?
Before the Tzimtzum. The Gabe madrege zu. The sphirot agnosis which is before the Tzimtzum. Let's go back 2 lines before. Sphirot. No?
I don't get it.
Why don't you get?
What is being explained? The kav, the kav before the Tzimtzum as sphirot.
No. The kav kama ishu before the Tzimtzum. The way it is part of the inside. Before the Tzimtzum.
There's sphirot agnesis.
That's right.
Okay, so what is Legabe Madrage Z? Which Madrage?
Legabe madrege or the sphirot agnosis.
When before the Tzimtzum.
Right.
And so when does Bechinas gilei ha'elam? Gilei ha'elam is already after the Tzimtzum, no?
Yes, the kav is bringing out the sphirot agnosis begilui.
So we're measuring which to which, the Madrage before the Tzimtzum to the Madrage after the Tzimtzum?
Yeah. Even before the Tzimtzum, there is sphirot agnosis. These sphirot agnosis ultimately can be gilui in the kav, and therefore the kav relative to this madrege is only gilui ha'elam.
And how is it called Legabe the Madrage after the Tzimtzum? After the Tzimtzum. the Kav before the Tzimtzum, we look at Gilei Helam, and how do we look on the Madraga after the Tzimtzum of the Kav? Not from the perspective from Lifna Tzimtzum, but after the Tzimtzum.
Why you ask that question?
Because why does he measure it to that from that point of view, from before the Tzimtzum?
Because that's where the big transition is.
Yeah, but the transition is being made, so I'm trying to understand how is it looking from bottom up, not from top down.
Okay, the bottom up you'll get to it. But this is the big thing. This is a big transition after the Tzimtzum. And yet, there is an element in it that is really rooted from before the Tzimtzum. I only explained the principle of Gilei HaHelam, like the speech underlined, is Gilei HaHelam. Nothing changed. It's been Gilei HaHelam. It's the same as the sphirot, as they were before. But now, they begin. If as the sphirot are begili, they come in the form of a kav. Ulegabe ho'er ho'in soif, but relative to the oir, the oir of the ein soif oir, the ein soif element of the oir, in the oir in soif there is an inyan what's called sphirot agnosis. That's sphirot agnosis. It's in the mokir hagvul, and legabe this madrege the kav is only Gilei HaHelam, but legabe ho'er ho'in soif, relative to the Ayin Sof itself, who be'ein aroich. Then the Kav is a completely new creation. It is be'ein aroich. There is no proximity, no way to correlate the Kav to the Ayin Sof.
But the Kav is in the Ayin Sof.
What?
But we're saying that the Kav is in the Ayin Sof.
That's
it's
right.
Kolon.
That's right.
So if it's Kolon?
But it's kolu. It's not the Ein Sof. It's in the sphirot agnosis. Pretty challenging, right?
What does that mean?
Huh?
I'm just trying to understand what that means. That it's koil or.
Okay, no. Bein aroch means not in proximity. Ein aroch, not in line. There's no comparison. Ein aroch, you can't compare it.
No relationship, man.
No, ein aroch means you can't compare it. And so, I want to bring us into this a little bit. We speak about this all the time. The oil shenivra b'yem rishon, the oil that was created in the first day of creation. When it says, Yomer Elokim yihi oil. Elokim said, let there be oil. He didn't create a luminary. He was choshech. He did not bring light into the world, which would mean creating a luminary. He simply changed the state of the world. The state of the world was dark, and now it became light.
Can I ask a question, Paltiel?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So, when we originally speak about the Chav, we talk about that it's simple, and then the industry was Chayzer v'Heir. That's the expression, right?
What?
The expression we use there is he was Chayzer v'Heir.
Right.
And that was the, right?
That was the Kav, right.
So, over there, when we say Chayzer, that means he brought back.
Right.
He brought back what was originally there. So,
Right.
But now we're saying, no, the Kav is not. Even the Erech. Shalai the Erech is what was originally there.
Right. But Choser V'Heir is from the sphirot Agnosis. Sphirot Agnosis were part of the Ayin Sof.
It's not the Ayin Sof itself.
No, it's not the Ayin Sof, but it is that which originates in the Ayin Sof.
Column.
Kolul the Ayin Sof.
Uh-huh. So when the Ayin Sof was mitzamtzim during the Tzimtzum, there was no oil at all.
There was no. That's right. Exactly right.
And now what's coming back is not exactly what was there before.
No.
It's contained in it, but it's not exactly what was there before.
That's right.
That's the difference between Ayin Sof and Kav.
Right.
Explains how Kav can be a beam, a focused thing. The Ayin Sof could not itself become a beam.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So that part of it which can become a beam now comes back as a beam, as a Kav.
Right.
Okay.
Good. Very good. Okay. Now I'd like that we should be able to translate it in our own seichel, because that's ultimately the point of this. Otherwise, we're just talking words. Projections. This we speak about all the time. There was a light without a luminary. There was nothing of that light remaining for us to actually observe because it was concealed. On the one hand, it was concealed. On the other hand, it retained, but in a more natural worldly state, so that the world wouldn't lose its presence. That's why the Torah says, "Vayikra Elokim lo oir yoim." Elokim called oir light yoim. What is, we spoke about this many times, I hope we still recall. What is the point of calling it yoim? What's wrong with oir? Hello? I'm giving you a chance to reflect on the question. And as you reflect on the question, perhaps you will yourselves come up with a kind of an insight.
Why didn't the Abisha call it Or?
What?
Why didn't the Abisha just call it Or?
It was oir before. Vayim Elokim hi oir. Then when it came to naming, it said Vayikra Elokim lo oir yoim. What's the significance calling it yoim? Okay, now that you've thought about it, let's think together. Oir means to illuminate. Yoim means fundamental light. Not illuminating. That light that was created in the Rishon was not a light to illuminate. To illuminate, you have to recognize that there is darkness, and you're illuminating the darkness. Yoim does not recognize that there is darkness. Yoim is not in contrast to darkness. Yom is in reality all unto itself.
What about the Lila?
Lila is Lila. Okay. But we understand that, right? This is a clear statement in the Torah. Hashem named it Yom. And Yom means not light that illuminates. Not light in contrast to darkness. A reality unto itself. Let's make Yom. By day there is light automatically. By night you have to bring light. By day you don't have to bring light. By day there is light automatically.
But didn't or preceded Yom?
Huh?
I'm asking if or preceded Yom.
Yes. Hashem created Oyer, and then He called it Yom.
So Yom is after or.
Okay, fine.
But it's
That's helping. One
but
second.
it's not.
That's. It's not going to help anything. We have to understand the significance of the word Yom. Yom is like the Ein Sof of light.
That hidden element.
The Ein Sof of light. With Ein Sof, it's a whole transformation. It's not a functional light. It's a state of being. That's Yom. 1 second. So now, here's the question. Here's the point of the whole discussion. This Yom, does it contain internally the ability to illuminate, to bring light out? To illuminate even in the darkness? Or it does not have?
So does Yom have the ability to illuminate the darkness?
Yeah.
There is no darkness when there's Yom.
Okay. That's right. But does it contain that capability?
Which capability are we talking about now?
It transforms darkness.
The Helen.
To illuminate darkness.
Day destroys the night.
Oh, and also you could also see things and yeah, absolutely.
Yom, don't lose the focus. We said Yom has nothing to do with illuminating darkness.
Right, but it also includes that.
But it nevertheless includes in this Yom, in this state of being of day, there is also light. That will illuminate, will permit to see objects. That aspect of Yom, which is to illuminate darkness, recognizing darkness. Yom does not know that there is such a thing as darkness, but it can also function in the presence of darkness, and it can also clash with darkness. It can also deal with darkness, giving it cognizance. This element in day, in yoy, that can deal with darkness is not the essence of day. Are you with me? It's contained in it. If you open a window in a dark room, or open a little crack like I spoke yesterday in February, you bring in daylight. No, you bring in light from daylight. Not daylight. Daylight is only in complete unobstruction of light. That's when you have daylight. Observation of daylight is not daylight. It's observation of it. Daylight is when you are part of it. There's no obstruction. Okay? Do we get the point? So the Rebbe is explaining over here that there are two elements in the ve-nis-bo-er lifnei Atzim. The ve-nis-bo-er and the ve-hakav. The ve-hakav, that's in the ve-nis-bo-er lifnei Atzim. The kav then is Gili HaHelam. The Gili HaHelam, it's not a new creation. It's in proximity. In the ve-nis-bo-er there is that element that makes a statement, and he gives, like we said in the light, it makes you say, it in is that you could see objects. But then there is an ve-nis-bo-er that's ve-nis-bo-er, that represents not oil for world, represents a godly presence. Light without a luminary, reflective of the godly presence in the world. That is shloi b'yerech to the kav. That and world cannot, so to speak, coexist. That completely eliminates the worldliness of world.
That's daytime?
Okay?
And how is it called? I get the
Oir, that's called oir. Oir hakav. Oir.
When the Madrag of the Oir Ein-Sof, how does it called?
As a sphirot agnuzos.
So how does it called? It's not Gili HaHelam, so what's the term? Is any term? Just Ein Adar?
No. Very good. The oir hakav legabe the ve-nis-bo-er.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a creation.
It's a creation.
No, it's a creation.
Saying it's a creation, but it's a creation. You're talking about the kav after the tzimtzum?
Right. Ein arech means it's a
Before the
creation.
kav is just kol.
Right.
Right?
Legabe, the principle of the ve-nis-bo-er, The Kav is a creation.
Could you please say that again?
The Gabe,
is what?
in your Oirei Soif. Oirei Soif is representative, an allusion to Elokus itself, to Atzmus. Like we said, in the world, light without a luminary, what does that represent? A godly presence. What is a godly presence? From God, nothing is concealed. This is a light that says nothing is really concealed. I don't have to illuminate. I have to bring a beam of light. It's day, finished. The whole world is in the presence of God. So there is no concealment. This is why this light, this day element, had to be concealed, removed from the world.
So when you distinguished before between day and light, it sounds as though day is actually superior to light. Did I miss that? Is that right?
Right.
Even though day comes and the light, he said, "Let there be light," but then he called the light day.
Okay.
So somehow there was an elevation in Ayr. So we get day.
Okay. So that here's the thing. Okay, Baruch, I got you. Please.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give you the answer, but I'd like you to think and give me the answer yourself. The answer is this. The oil is the oil inside. The way the oil is inside Elokus, inside God. Yom is the way it is in the world. Yom becomes part of the world. It is bringing a godly phenomenon into the world. This is called Yom.
Daniel, this is your question. Would you ask this question? Come sit here.
No, I want to. Okay.
What's the matter? Must have drink his coffee. What's wrong?
So he's introducing a godly concept, or a godly presence
What?
in the world.
That's right. You asked a question that oil preceded the day.
Yeah.
Yes, oil preceded day, but it was too premature. This is the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Oil preceded day because this oil. Now that we understand that this light day per se is representative of a godly reality, not a worldly, and that's why it had to be removed, because so this oil is, as I said, oil in the world without a luminary does not exist. What oil is that? It says the truth that there is no such thing as a helam, as darkness. Why? Because from the godly perspective, there's no such thing as darkness.
Now you make or very,
And that is
very
day?
elusive.
What?
And you make or very elusive.
That's right. Very, very supreme, not elusive. If you can understand godliness, but it's wonderful.
You're saying, so your heat oil was taken out of the world, but the yom was still the element of that godliness which was still remaining on the world terms and not remaining.
Right. That's why Hashem gave it a name. Hashem gave it. Other Mauritian couldn't. But Hashem named it. Named it means it gave it a presence. solid, a presence within the world, the context, we can refer to it. Now it's day, now it's night. What's day? Go define it. But it has a contrast.
It was said before that oil means to illuminate, but now we're saying on the opposite that oil isn't even before illumination. It's godly. That's why we call it yoim, not oil.
Oil without a luminary is godly. Oil with a luminary is a focused light.
And yoim?
And yoim is the result of an oil without a luminary. Yoim is is a transformation within the world.
Without a luminary? We have it.
What? Without a luminary. Yoim is how the oil eliki is in the world. It's called yoim. Because the world is dark. And this is in contrast to the dark.
That refers to 24 hours. When you say the godly yom, is it 24 hours?
I don't know.
May I ask a close question?
The Klotz Kasha. Go ahead. Who is the Klotz? This is the whole thing. That the Rebbe allowed that the Yom became part of the Mitzvahs of the world. Day. Not Oyer Eliki, but became part of the Mitzvahs of the world. If it's part of the Mitzvahs of the world, then it is in contrast of how it is without this light, without this day. Therefore, so this is the big thing over here. It's day. It's day within the context of the world. Please understand what the Rebbe should deal with. That's why the Rebbe had to name it himself. All the Mishnah couldn't name this, because this is a light that completely eliminates darkness, and yet the Rebbe should left alone the darkness. So there is a period for day and a period for night. Yeah, a period for day, a period for night. Day does not know that there is such thing as night. Night does not know there is such thing as day. Therefore, they're both a godly phenomenon, both miracles. Realities in and of themselves.
Two different realities.
Two different realities. A godly reality and a worldly reality.
Why couldn't other mission give this?
Because this is not within conceptualization. The seichel cannot conceive it. You understand that?
Change of reality?
Day.
I'm sorry that this is...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, say again.
Over the correlate, this was not just an innate quality.
That's right. That's right. Where does this oil come from? There is no sun. What is the concept of oil come there? It's meant oil. The sun is not there yet. What is the statement of oil and that state? It's completely negating the darkness of the world. He's saying the world is darkness, but that's not the truth. This darkness comes from light. It comes from godliness. This is why this, I said, there is no, even today, as we're experiencing day, I challenge anyone to define what is day. The experience of day versus light. Plain light. They have in the stadiums, they play ball in pitch dark in the middle of the night, and they illuminate it, and you could see everything. Is that day? Does it give you the experience of day or not? Everybody knows that it does not. What is day?
Reality.
The reality of itself.
Why would God bring light or day before he brought man?
Oh, okay, because he anticipated Akiva. He said, there's going to be an Akiva there. Let me give it to him. Come on, Akiva.
But he didn't have anyone to recognize the reality of the world.
Even after Adam Nishan came, he still doesn't recognize it. He doesn't understand what day is. He's creating a whole world that contains something which is super worldly also. Even the fact that every species has an inherent eternity, is that understood? You have kids. Do you understand how you got them? All right, so we plowed through and struggled through these two lines. All right, gentlemen, I have to go. Have a great day, and we'll reconvene tomorrow.
Yeah.